Vic, this is your third day here in Animation.
Yeah.
You had a panel Friday that I was a part of. That was a lot of fun. Streaming for your community, for the people here as
Yeah,
well.
that was a lot of fun. I think David was on the stream. Were you listening?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we can turn the audio up just a bit. Thank you.
Oh. I don't think that's what I meant by
This
close.
one? Maybe. Check. It's working okay yesterday. Is it? It's this one? Check. Check. No, it's this one. Yeah. Can you guys hear us if we're in one? Check. Yes? Check. This is stick mic. Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Okay, cool. Why don't you lead us and then you can
Yes. So obviously I was here Friday helping you host that panel. How did Saturday? You had another one. How was that? How was that experience for you?
It was great. It was with my pal Matt Levitin, and he came and talked to us a little bit about his history in publishing games and working at Sony. And he's also publishing Lego Batman right now and James Bond First Light. So he's been crazy busy, and he came and it was amazing. The guy's got a ton of history. He's been on the show a bunch. So between the two of us, we've been doing this a long time. So it was really fun. You know, Matt is a great guy.
No, he is, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of passion in his career. And then obviously, we've had you here in Toronto for quite some time.
Weird, so weird. A human is not supposed to get this much love all at once. It's very strange. The awards and then people came and said hello, and then the man, it's been a lot. It's been a lot to reconcile.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about reconciling the entire legacy of your career, coming, a culmination of one night in the Canadian Game Awards that people didn't know. Victor was awarded the Game Changer Award for his impact in the Canadian games media space. And for you looking back on all of that, getting on stage, seeing your peers and the community, what was that experience like for you?
It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming in the moment and beautiful. And I think that the whole team at the Canadian Video Game Awards, they just went above and beyond to, showcase CP and bestow all kinds of adoration on me. And I was not prepared. It's I've always said the reward to the team. I've always said the reward is that we get to do it more. That's the work of it that we get to do. That's our reward. And I legitimately feel that. I already did. My wife always says to me as I'm about to go do a stream, you're about to go get everybody to tell you how much they love you now, Vic. Must be nice, and it's kind of true. We have this beautiful community that watches our content, but to have it in person and I got a standing ovation. That was insane, and I was not prepared. But the next day was the crazy thing. The next day was the crazy thing because it was time to reflect on it, and I started getting a lot of messages and emails and texts, and I was just a mess. I was a wreck on Friday.
No, it was a beautiful moment, and especially seeing the videos come out online, seeing all those friendly faces and everything. And I mean, even in your speech, when you were rattled up, that you got the corporate over the course of your career and everything. I mean, that legacy holds up so well. And even a couple years ago, we hosted that reunion. I mean, how has it been to kind of touch base with all those members of your past of your career, to see where they've gone in their own respective careers? What's that been like for you?
Oh man, let me just hold this because here's the thing. When we started this, it was a bunch of us figuring it out and trying to kind of get to all the cool events and play all the stuff and do the reviews as well as we could. And we were all individually on our journeys. And then it grew, and then it became 2 shows, and then it became 2 daily shows, and suddenly it was about bestowing these gifts of this work on other people, and that feeling of pride, fatherly pride before I was a dad, of watching my colleagues just kick ass and go on these cool trips and meet these incredible people and they share it in their networks, and it's really hard to describe. And then so over these last couple of years, as we've been running our classic content, thanks to UTM, thanks for the incredible work of the University of Toronto Mississauga and all the digitization that they're doing, and our partners at PP Games, we've been delivering these classic episodes. And so every weekend, it's like, you know, it always lives with me, but then I'm watching it in real time again, and I'm going back in time with this. And you know, when they cut the stuff for the awards, it was like, well, they just went to the YouTube channel and grabbed all this footage. And so it's a really weird thing. It's like having your home movies, you guys. Like, you know, you shoot so much stuff on your phones and whatever, but you're watching it all the time, and you're living it all the time. And I really feel like right now in my life, I'm like living 30 years of my life at one time. It's my dreams are strange. Not to mention I have a 14-year-old kid, right? And Facebook keeps popping up these pictures of her when she's 2, and it's like, what is happening? Like, I'm living all of these lives all at the same time, you know? But it's amazing. And the thing that I've been thinking about, Bug Anime North, what would you guys think if we could put together a whole reunion show here? I don't know if they have the budget for it, but to fly in a bunch of our team members, and some live here, and we just get them all together, and we take a couple hours, and we reminisce and show some clips. Yes, would you guys like that? All right, I'll see. I mean, that's not going to be cheap, so I'll see if they can do it. But I'd love to do it, and I like this show a lot. I think it's really cool, you know. And I like that they're taking games a lot more seriously, and they keep growing it. I think it'd be amazing. Yeah.
No, I love that, and I think that one day, getting everyone back together into a room is necessary. Just like retrospective, kind of touch base with everyone, kind of see how everyone is, you know, touch base.
A lot of them haven't seen each other for a while, thanks COVID, you know, and thanks other external things we won't get into right now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny enough, I saw your post talking about trying to omit the you bringing over the Vancouver weather into Toronto. I find it very ironic that the moment that you came in, we went from sunny weather into now I'm stuck with an umbrella and a jacket again. So thank you.
I always have an umbrella with me. That's essential. That's why I carry this everywhere. I'm a Vancouver guy. There's always an umbrella. And so I walked out and I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. It was so brutal yesterday. It was like the umbrellas were flying all over the place. I said, I know I'm going to get blamed for this.
Absolutely, I will throw that blame at you. But going back to events and, you know, coming out of COVID and everything, like, obviously, you know, you come to Toronto for a few times now to attend events, and now Anime North, spending an entire weekend here with the community. Like, how has that been? Like, how do you reconcile coming back into the fold of community-based events and the importance of the Canadian audience, people who, you know, following you, and now you get a chance to shake hands, see them, meet and greet, and everything?
There's nothing better. I talked a little bit about it in my speech, but the idea that, and I'm really grappling with it because people keep coming up to me and saying, I grew up with you, or I watched you when I was a kid, and then I'm also getting messages that they're showing their kids now. And I never planned this at all. You got, like, you just like start a thing, it's like, I hope someone watches, and back in the TV days, we just let it go. Like, here's the tape. Hope somebody likes this, and they watched it. And then sometimes we get a message or an email or whatever. But to go into public places and meet with people and shake hands and talk about lives and the intersect points around our material, it's so gratifying. It's overwhelming and beautiful, and it's one of my favorite things. And it is so much one of my favorite things that when I talked about it in my speech for the award the other night, it was like, that's what I hope we get more of, you know, because I feel like, especially in media, it's all social media and it's solo writing, and you guys have a podcast, which is great, and there is some connection out there, but there was something so special about us being a team, visiting teams, and then teams of people would watch the stuff together, and we would hear that, you know, and now I hear about people remembering that they watched it with their parents Yeah, so to see you guys in person is amazing. Thank you.
I think it's such an interesting time in the video game space, especially when looking at the content you produce, whether it's in the past or even now. There's always a positive spin, there's always a constructive spin on it. But right now I feel like we're at like a very interesting time where people are being rewarded for negative criticism or, you know, the grifting aspect and everything of that. I feel like for someone like you with such a Boston audience, it would be so easy for you to like flip the switch and be like, well, I can milk this for all it's worth by being on that side. Yeah, Bizarro Vic, and I mean, like, how do you process that, like sticking to the authentic side of your perspectives and everything, and not falling into the let's just be negative for negative sake, kind of fall into that vitriol?
Well, honestly, I mean, that's a very complex question, but I honestly believe that so much of why people are negative online is because of the feelings that they have by spending so much time online. We're so addicted to it, and we are, all of us, I'm not immune, I've got my phone right here. And so we're on these things all the time, and I think we feel shame in that because we're not really in the world, we're not really connecting with other human beings. And there's value and convenience and reach in this, but I think it's also destructive. And because of that, and we're all aware of that, we all feel a little bit of shame of that. We bring it into the way that we scroll and watch and talk, and I think that's injected in there. But the other thing that I really have come to understand about my positivity, and I've been accused of this since the beginning, I like everything, my scores were higher than Tommy's most of the time, you're Mr. Positive. What I really realized is that if I didn't love so many types of games, like the show never would have launched, it never would have happened. I legitimately love all these things. I used to spend $300 a month when I was a kid, you know, I'd spend all my money, you know, first as a paper boy and then as a waiter on video games. I'd reward myself I was an actor as well, auditioning, and I'd have a good audition, I'd reward myself. I'd have a crappy audition, I'd console myself with video games. And so I'd spend $300 a month and I was getting something for every machine and trying every different thing. And that's always the way I've looked at it, you know, back from the Atari 2600. I'll say, I'll try this cartridge, let's see how it goes. And I was reading the magazines back then, so I had some of the awareness of some of the people that were building this stuff and some of the stories behind these games. And that just carried on. And then I got to know these people, you know, and so I think it was this genuine love of a lot of genres and a lot of types of games, the people out there, and also just an awareness that we're being manipulated. Like, we're being controlled by these damn cool things, these great, shiny, awesome gadgets. And I have that perspective, you know. And I love that events like this happen. I love that people get out and mingle. I love that people go to game stores like our partners, or any game stores and comic shops and record stores. It's so important to be with other people.
No, absolutely. I love community-based events like this for that exact reason.
I have just walking up and being a rude a-hole at an event like this, like just saying something unfiltered to someone. Like, but online, everybody's anonymous and they just feel like that's the language, and it's terrible.
I also feel like there might be like an ounce of that where there's like a lack of curiosity that is in the industry, where it's like there's a lack of curiosity on the people that make the games, the process of making games, what it really takes to put, you know, an idea to paper into the ones and zeros, and then get that as a published piece for the mass consumer market.
I think there might be a bit of an exhaustion, honestly, because there is so much to pay attention to, and I understand that. And I think that there's also a lot of contrivances around the way that media around video games is happening right now. And people feel that inauthenticity. They feel that it's being sold to them. And I think that the PR and marketing folks that work in video games need to relax a little bit. And they need to trust their developers to be able to communicate with passion and make mistakes and slip up, but be human beings. And especially in this precarious time where it feels like there's all of these threats for automation, let's see the human curation at work and this beautiful art form that we love, and let's hear from these people that are trying to figure it out. And on the flip of it, let's be consumers and fans and enthusiasts of this stuff with a little bit of empathy and awareness that nothing's coming out perfect, and that there's perfection in that. But there's a lot of that's one of the beautiful things about video games is that it's never right. It's never done. It's constantly changing and evolving. It's constantly reinventing itself. And a lot of hard lessons are learned. They on the NES, they released way too many games and companies started going down. In the 80s, I was there for that. The games crashed. There was too much crap on the 2600. Too much cool box art that didn't look anything like the video game that you popped in. People got fed up with that. And that's okay. This isn't the beautiful thing about games, and everybody here knows this, is it's not just a camera turned on the real world. It's a interpretation of worlds. It's a creation of worlds from the very ground up. And people watch those worlds become more and more real and more realistic and more involving. And that's incredibly profound. And I'm not taking anything away from any other storytelling, but movies and plays and other types of sedentary fiction that we've enjoyed has been a reflection of what we know. It's the known. And games have been able to completely circumvent that and just throw us into fantasy like we've never been able to experience, and have the agency to be the player character, to be the main participant in it, and to also contribute to the art form, because it's dead if it's not being played. It's a profound thing, and it's moving. And I'll say one last thing, because I've been thinking about this a lot with AI. AI is, I think, a magic bullet in a lot of ways for what we can do with technology. Right now we're using AI to convert our SD footage from 30 years ago into 4K. Thank you, AI, for that. And sometimes I have to take out a licensed bit of music from an old episode because we were playing a little fast and loose back then. There were no YouTube copyright flags. And I have to drop out the Indiana Jones theme and drop in some YouTube safe theme. And I use AI to be able to pull that out. Otherwise, it would be like this weird thing in the edit, which would be kind of crazy. But as AI takes over more and more, I used to have this dream like we were heading towards the holodeck. And now I see how the holodeck gets made. It's artificial intelligence. It's a computer that's synced to your brain somehow, and it's fulfilling the fantasies that you have in your mind, but it's going to be based on data that's already known. And now that scares the hell out of me. When I was a kid and just starting EP, it was like, this is exciting. One day we'll have the holodeck. Now I realize that if we get freaking AI making holodecks for us, reality is done. There's going to be a lot of people that will never leave that, and I don't want that. I think the best thing about this art form is to have distance from it and to reflect on it and play these games when we're not playing them and to think about them and then go back to them. It's incredible to talk to the people that dream this stuff up, and let's not take that work from them. Let's let them create this art and challenge us and entertain us and feel the human connection through this technology for as long as we possibly can.
I love that. That's well said. So let's have a little bit of fun here while we still have time with the audience and everything. I feel like right now we're, a week? We can change away from the SGF, the non-E3 season. We already have the PlayStation State of Play coming up, Xbox Game Showcase, Summer Game Fest itself. What are you hoping to see from this week of gaming celebration, the non-E3 week? What are some of the big announcements and reveals you're hoping to see?
Well, it's pretty cool because it's been a crazy month because I've been booking some SGF. I was talking with Anime Northvolt what we were going to do here, and the Game Awards were happening, and we were still making material. But SGF, some of those things have been booked. I can't talk about some of the stuff that I know, but I will say one, and it's Sega has teased Crazy Taxi, and I cannot wait to see what that's all about. I love Sega so much. I love how weird they are. I love how quirky they are. I love their legacy IP. I love that they know the value in it. I'm also loving that there's an awakening that's happening with Xbox right now, where they're starting to think about what their brand means, it's their 25th anniversary. I feel like backwards compatibility is going to become more more important in some of those old, incredible first-party games that they used to publish may be revitalized somehow. PlayStation is saying something similar too. There's intimations there. I don't know if it's a great thing for reaching people that Sony is saying they don't want to publish to PC anymore, but I think it's exciting for them to be thinking, how do we pivot from spending so much in live service? Not that I want, Bungie staffers to be affected by that, but I feel like there is a bit of a reckoning happening right now. And what that I hope means is that we get a lot more diversity in the scale and scope of games, and a lot of really incredible titles that we haven't seen in a while, a lot of incredible characters and types of games that we haven't seen in a while start to come back, and not necessarily blow us away with brand new expensive fidelity. Just tuning with controls and an emphasis on fun. So there's a lot to be excited about right now. I know it's been a tumultuous time in video games, and most of the stories have been about layoffs and change and AI. But I also feel, contrary to that, currently we're having one of the best years in games ever. Like, the quality of the work has just been amazing. But I also feel there's been so much discussion, yes, about live service, yes, about free-to-play, and also all of these new upstart game companies. And I keep talking with people that are saying, we're not getting bigger than 100 people. We're going to be 30 people. We're going to start to build something with 10 people. And these are vets. These are people that have been making games for 20, 30. I just did panels at Web. That was the other thing. At Web Summit in Vancouver, where I talked with Ray Muzica from BioWare and other BioWare. It was great. But these were vets that were starting their own brand new thing called Critical Path Games. We won't see their stuff for a couple of years, but like Casey Hudson's working on an Old Republic game, and there's so much to look forward to. Yeah, and SGF, I think, will give us a taste of some nice change. And I've let it be known to some of the PR people that have been asking me to talk about their stuff. Not that I want to dismiss that work, but I just don't have time to play MMOs and live service. I just don't have time to do that. I don't have time to review it, especially if it's free, because if it's free, it's like, just try it. If you want to live in that world, you can. So I've let the people know, but there's still lots of single player, lots of included all in the disc or cartridge type games coming, which I really like.
Absolutely, and I think you brought up something that was very interesting. Is this almost this reckoning where Xbox is trying to reanalyze its identity. PlayStation is also reanalyzing its identity, pulling some of its PC ports and just keeping things on the console itself. And I think in a way, we're almost coming back to the state of the industry that we were in almost maybe 10 years ago. And with that, I think also comes, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but the console wars where Xbox and PlayStation are becoming more competitive again, a little more scrappy. Does that excite you at all now that, we're 5-6 years off of, PlayStation just in a clear win? Like, to me, I get excited thinking about, Xbox wanting to be in the ring again, with the boxing gloves on, being like, we're capitalizing our name, we're launching a new console, we want people to get excited about our brand.
Yeah, it really does, and I do feel that competition breeds creativity. It's a really interesting thing, because Sony's got the install base and the momentum, but Xbox has all the publishers, and we forget how many pieces of IP Xbox owns and has access to bring out into the world, and also why it makes sense for a company that large to publish on other platforms. The only thing that I'm concerned about, and you guys can tell me if you feel the same way, is I don't think we need $1,000 game consoles. I think that's a really wrong decision. I feel like what's happening right now is we're being exclusionary for families and people that are on a tighter budget that just don't have a way to play a lot of new stuff. And so we're seeing a lot of people move to legacy content, a lot of emulation devices on Amazon or whatever. There's lots of YouTubers that just talk about retro material, and that's cool. And I think maybe Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox are all thinking, wait a second, there's a real business there, we should do it. So I feel like the new Xbox and the new PlayStation should both be priced at $500 US, I guess. It'd be great if it was Canadian. And they should both be, because we're about to see the demise of physical media, unfortunately. They should both be machines that let you access all of your legacy media content. Disc availability, whether it's optional or not, you pop in your classic material and you play it. And I think that would be great for them to distinguish themselves from PCs, because I don't think it's good for PCs to become consoles like Steam Machine's going to be, and consoles to be PCs. I think there's just muddies everything. I think there should be a distinct console experience, and you should just load into your machine and just start playing. And to that end, I also feel, and I've been thinking this more and more, that all three of the big console manufacturers, and maybe Sega too, should release a $200 console. And it shouldn't be like trying to compete with the big guys. It should just be a $200 machine about legacy, about super fun, about indie. Put an online store, but it's not about multiplayer gaming. It's not about online stuff. Just being able to download, but also accept some of those old cards and some of those old discs. And I think there's such a model right there. HDMI, make it super easy and make it affordable, and let people jump in that don't have the budget for $150 games or $1,000 consoles. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Do you like that idea? Yeah, yeah. It's probably going to be $1,000 console, which sucks.
No, it really does. It's something I've been thinking about more and more. It's probably like early 2025 is that, you know, you and I are privileged to get access to games, to get access to consoles, hardware, and everything. And like, but I see all the time in the news with prices going up, whether it's software or hardware, families and people are distinctly getting priced out of such a great hobby. And it's unfortunate because I can't think of another artistic or media or form of media that goes up over time, but also is getting to the point where families simply cannot engage with it.
And the other major point there, my friend Daniel Bloodworth from Easy Allies brought this up. He said that he really got into games when they used to do those greatest hits releases, or I forget what Nintendo used to call their $20 versions of games that have been out for a little while. And now we get online sales, which is great. I mean, Steam does do a lot of that, and there's a lot of value packed into PC gaming. And so, you know, you guys all know, whenever I ask people what they're playing, a lot of the answers are games from a year ago, which speaks to the games are big and games are cheaper now, and no one's dumb, you know, and everybody is like, well, I'll just wait, you know. I get that a lot. But I also think physical shouldn't be excluded. I think that families like to walk into a store together and see something on the shelf that they can afford that's still in shrink wrap, that hasn't been played before, and they can put it on a console that they can afford. And I think there's a real business there.
No, I completely agree. And one thing that I think is such a distinct factor in all of this is the freemium on Fortnite or Roblox, something like that, where a younger generation is now getting into these games, engaging with games, engaging in the social spaces without necessarily having to get a console or even have to put out, you know, a price. But yeah, exactly. But I think that removes their ability to engage with some of the most beautiful stories made to it. Because I feel like with a story or with a narrative or something more single player, there's always a premium price tag. And I feel like that distinction right there is so unfortunate in today's age of gaming.
Yeah, no, I feel, I'm a fan of Fortnite, and I appreciate all of the work in World of Warcraft. There's a lot of great stuff in MMOs and live service, but yes, and Roblox was cool too. My daughter was big on that, but it drove me nuts that she had access to the real games that all of these fake games that these kids had made were based on. And sometimes they would just steal like the sound effects and the music from the real games and stick them in. I'm like, what are you doing? You can play this cartridge. I have this. Look, this is the game. Play that. But she just wanted to play Roblox with her pals, and I get that convenience. This keeps ringing in my head. This convenience is killing us. I definitely feel that, and that's why I shoot reviews outside still. You know, it was easier for me to just turn the damn thing on in my basement, and just shoot it in my basement. But I like going out. You know, I never know what happens when I leave the house. I don't know if someone's gonna, you know, say hi, or I'm gonna meet somebody new, or coffee's gonna spill on me, or I'm gonna have some stain on my shirt before I gotta go, or my hair's gonna go flying out. But it's like that's the fun of, you know, life and just going for it. We have to end this in 10 minutes, so does anybody have a question for us? I have a question for the audience. Does anybody have an Xbox Series X? All right, you got Lego Batman. You're the first one to put your hand up. Have you got Lego Batman? It's all yours, buddy. Come on up. This is the only gift I have, but it's all yours. We're real. It's all yours. And enjoy. Enjoy. So if anybody's got a question, come up and ask away, whatever you'd like to ask. Come on up. The microphone's going to be right there. Yep.
Hi,
Nice to meet you.
when you were discussing possibility of gaming presentation consoles, what about the economic realities of gaming? Because the companies want to make the stock go up, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible to make a business model in that way where that's superior to what they're currently doing with $1,000 gaming consoles?
Yes, there is, and it's about selling the software, and it's about working the strategy to up that attach rate and to get more people buying more games. And I think Nintendo. I'm such a Nintendo fanboy. I know it. I apologize. But what Nintendo does is they only think about video games, right? And so they're not thinking of like, we have to come out with a new machine and it has to blow everybody away technologically. It has to be as affordable as we can make it in its current climate for families out there. And then if you notice what they do, and this is what Xbox and PlayStation should absolutely be emulating, is they put out games at every type of price point. Like in one of the, like 2024 or something like that, or 2023, Nintendo, I counted it all up. Nintendo released a game based on every one of their characters, almost, their IP, at every different kind of price point. There was like Fire Emblem and Metroid and F-Zero, and all of these different types of styles of games. They don't all cost $500 million like Spider-Man 2, which we love. We don't want Sony to stop making that. But they can make that and an Astrobot and a bunch of other size games in a year, but make it about this cadence of, this up and down cadence. But every game should come out with that same amount of marketing and love. And if Xbox and Sony start doing that, they're going to see more people buying more games to subvert the costs and the losses that they're going to have to take on their consoles. But I think they should take losses. They have sophisticated supply lines. Microsoft is worth trillions of dollars. They can afford to lose some money on their next machine to get people into that ecosystem and to find a really nice platform for selling games and getting people playing video games. Sony isn't quite as big, but they are ahead, and they've got this love out there, and they should figure out a way to lose a little money, but gain it back in lots of great games coming up.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I think count on $1,000 machines.
There's been recent development of recent rash of lawsuits against big names like Valve regarding loot boxes.
Yeah.
The lawsuits are specifically saying that they're using gambling mechanics to minors. What's your views on that?
Well, I've had lots of conversations with my daughter about that. Like, we don't download free-to-play games on mobile. We have an Apple Arcade account, and I let her download Apple Arcade stuff. Talked to her about loot boxes in toy stores, and I remember, they're all the mystery boxes. You open it up, and she was obsessed with watching little videos and buying these things. And I remember having a discussion with her. It's like the companies here are trying to get you to purchase this stuff and not quite get everything that you want, so that you buy another one. And she understood it. She took it in. She wasn't happy about that I wasn't buying it for her. But then a mom came up and said, I never talked to my kid about this like that before, and I thought that you make a lot of sense, and I really had my eyes open to that because of what the mechanics around loot boxes have been in video games. I think what's prominent now, there's much more awareness of this in the industry now, and now when you're not doing that, you're making that a feature in your game. You're making that like a bullet point that you don't do that. All of the game content is included in the price of the game. And I think the movement is in that direction. And to some titles, like the sports games where they use the sport card mechanic, that kind of makes sense to me a little bit because we're trained on that in sports cards. But yeah, other games, I think people should be wary and know what they're spending their money on. Always. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Question. Anybody else? We got time for one more. Come on up. Can I call you Lego Batman from now on?
I was just wondering, since we're about like 6 years into this current console generation,
Yeah.
what's your game of the generation?
It's Spider-Man 2. It's Marvel Spider-Man 2. I know that it's similar to the other Spider-Man games, but what I think Insomniac really was wonderful at with this game is giving you the action and the generosity of lots of cool moments with both Spider-Man characters, but then it was all the real emphasis on what the characters were going through and the other ancillary characters getting to know what their perspectives were. I just thought that the empathy was so wonderfully utilized in that game, and I never felt like there was a minute wasted. And I feel like there's a lot of games that are grinding for grind's sake. They're trying to hit a value equation where they're trying to like put an X amount of hours in so that people feel like the $100 they spent is worth it. And Spider-Man 2 never felt like that for me. I felt breathless. I felt like once I beat it, I can just keep playing it, and I do. I go back to it all the time. And I just loved how true to the comic source all of that work was. So I love that game.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, everybody. North, give yourself a round of applause. One for Victor Lucas. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation and enjoy the rest of Anime North. It's a good time.
I'm actually going to go. I've got a table over there where I can come and talk with anybody. If you want to come up and say hello or take a picture or whatever, I'll be hanging out with you. So I'd love to see you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.